Hey guys, what's going on? It's Yankee Down Under here. Today we're going to talk about everyone's favorite topic, deck building. So for this episode, I will start off with a deck build with Doctor Strange. I'll go through, well, my personal auto includes are going to be and how I go about building my deck for my hero. So let's take a look at. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to take a look at your hero and what he can do. So his alter ego, Stephen Strange, he has free recovery. He is a mystic, and he starts with the Invocation Deck. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And then has a natural talent action to discard the top card of the Invocation Deck, and that's limit once per face. He's got a hand size of 6 and hit points of 10. And his hero form is Doctor Strange. He's got 2 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense. So his thwart's okay, his defense is okay, but his attack is kind of crap. So we probably won't be using his basic attack. We'll probably be using event cards to do his attacks. So he's an Avenger and Mystic. Then he has the Spell Mastery action to Invocation Deck. And then resolve the special ability on that card. And he's got a hand size of 5 and hit points of 10. So we know that his attack's crap. He's an Avenger and he's a Mystic. So before we'll delve into the actual deck, I'll go into the to what my auto includes would be. So I'm always going to start with the copy of Genius, a copy of Energy, and a copy of Strength. Those are your double resources. I'm also going to start with the Power All of Us. That's because you get the double number of resources this card generates when paying for a basic gray card. So you can, and then so we'll after that, my auto include will be a Hell Carrier. It's a 3-cost support. It's a shield location, and it's max 1 per player, so you can exhaust it to choose the player and then reduce the resource cost of the next card by 1. So basically, you could pay 2 using this card, spend 1 more resource to play Helicarrier. Although auto include will be Endurance. Will be Sorcerer Supreme. It's a 2-cost select grade. It's a title, and you can only play as you have the Mystic trait. So because we're Mystic, this is going to increase our hand size when our hero form by 1. So instead of a hand size of 5, we've got a hand size of 6. But other auto include will be Team Building Exercise. So it's a 2-cost support, and as a hero action, so you can exhaust Team Building Exercise to play a card that shares a trait with your hero, reducing its resource cost by 1. And of course, by just using Power of All of Us, just use it as a double resource to pay for Team Building Exercise. And my other auto include would be Spiritual Meditation. It's a spell, and we're going to play if we have the Mystic trait, which we do, and so we get to draw 2 cards, and choosing this card, 1 card from your hand. It's a pretty good card. You can go through your deck, choose what pull 2, choose 1, put it back. So it's good to go through your deck to cycle it. And Queen Carrier. So it's a 3-cost support. It's an Avenger vehicle, so we can only play we have an Avenger trait, which we do, and you get the exhaust Queen Carrier to generate a wild resource. So you can pay 2 with Power All of Us. Exhaust Team Building Exercise to reduce your cost by 1. So there's 2. Exhaust that to pay for the exhaust that to reduce the cost by 1. So the Queen Carrier actually only costs 2, and so you just pay for it with just 1 card. So let's go through. So those are my auto includes for for most of at least for this deck at least. So let's go ahead and talk about Zendication Deck. So this is the part where you want to go through the hero cards, look for traits and abilities, and to see if he's dependent on the resources like Thor. Thor is dependent on energy resources. So let's take a look for his invocation deck. So you got 7 Rings of Ragador. You get the 3 characters, a touch stats card, plays his invocation deck. So there's really not any events or anything like that you can use to for tough for your heroes. And then you got Winds of Batum, so you can draw 3 cards. Crimson Bane is a Sidorak, so you can stun an enemy and deal 7 damage to it. And then so pretty much what this does is that you stun and this ignores guard because it's not an attack. So he's good. So we'll keep in mind that he can stun enemies. Then you got Image as an icon, so you can confuse the villain and remove 4 threat from the scheme. So he can confuse. So we've got stun, we've got confuse. So we'll keep those in mind. And then he's got Vapors of Altor, so you can choose a status card and play and replace the status card with a different status card. So in case if they say you're stunned, you can change it to so if you're stunned or confused, you can change it to tough. If the villain or minion has a tough status, you can change that to confuse or stun. So we'll keep that in mind as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 15 hero cards. So we've got Wong, so he's 3-cost ally, and he has the Mystic trait. So because he's a Mystic, we can use Team Build and Exercise to reduce his cost by 1. So we'll put that on. Basically what I do is I try to build it. I'll make a tree and try to line all the cards up. So then let's take a look at magical enhancements. That's just a condition spell to give us to boost our stats up. Synthesis Torn is just a location, so then we use that to shuffle a spell card from your discard pile. We got Master of Mystical Arts, just to assist with the Invocation deck. Astral Projection, so it's a thwart action. So we can choose a scheme to remove 3 threat from that scheme and look at the top card of the encounter deck. For each boost icon, remove 1 additional threat from the chosen scheme. So thwart is another trait that we can think about. Protective Ward, which is a spell. That's pretty much when a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, we cancel all the effects and discard it. Look at Levitation. It gives an aerial trait, so there's another keyword, aerial. So right now we could think about stun, we could think about confuse, we could think about Avenger, we could think about Mystic, we could think about aerial, and we could think about thwart. There's another protective ward there, another magical enhancements, mystical studies, just to search for your card for your for Doctor Strange card. Astral Projection is another portability. Magic Blast, it's an attack spell, so there's another keyword, attack. Ayamagato gives you a wild resource, so we can just pop that up there as well. And then Master of Mystic Arts. So we know what we've got, so we can deal. So his traits would be Avenger, Mystic. We could think about events that can use thwart, or we can utilize stun, confuse, or attack. So next thing I want, so those are what you want to build, the traits are what you want to build on. So next thing I do, I want to try to at least try to play 4 or 5 allies. So we've got Wong already. Spider-Man, I like Spider-Man, so he doesn't have any traits that shares. I mean, you can put Avengers, Honorary Avenger on him, but I don't want to use Honorary Avenger just to use him just for one ally, so I won't include it. Sentry, I like Sentry. He's a 4-cost ally. He's got 2 thwart. He's got 3 attack. So as we know, Doctor Strange has a low attack. So I like to use not minions, but allies that have a high attack. His only downside is that you're going to get yourself an encounter card. But he's got 5 hit points. Another card, Wasp. So she'll get a hit point for each pimp counter on her, and then you got to spend. So she gets a pimp counter on her to a maximum of 3 for each resource you would pay for Wasp's cost. Now I wouldn't suggest using Team Build and Exercise, but you can generate wild resources with Ayamagato. You can generate a wild resource with Queen Carrier. You can generate a wild resource with just an energy card you have in your hand that you're not going to play or whatever. And then you got Spider Girl. She's a cheap ally. I like her because she can stun and confuse a minion when you play from her hand. So thinking about that, so we've got stun, confuse, mystic, avenger. So let's take a look at press the advantage. Actually, no. Next thing I want to do is look at upgrades and supports. So martial prowess. I like martial prowess because you can generate it to generate a physical resource for an attacking it. And speaking of attacker, and then we can also put in Hall of Heroes. That's just generally just for card draw. For when you take out minions, as long as you defeat a minion, not an ally, you can put a glory counter on there. Once you get 3 glory counters, you can go back to Alter Ego and draw 3 cards. So I like that just for card draw. So speaking of attacks, let's take a look at some events that we can include. So let's look at the Press Advantage. So Press Advantage is a raw cost event, and you could deal 2 damage to an enemy. If that enemy is stunned or confused, you get to draw a card. So with Spider Girl, she comes in, she stuns and confuses the minion. You can play Press Advantage, and you can generate martial prowess to play Press Advantage for free. Deal 2 damage to an enemy, and then if that enemy is stunned or confused, which he will be, you get to draw a card. It also works if, so also it goes back to Images of Icon. It goes back to Crimson Bands of Sidorak. So, yeah, I think that's a good card. Personally, I think that's a good card to include with Doctor Strange. Then we've got Into the Fray. Into the Fray is a hero action. It's an attack. So we can use that on martial prowess. You can deal 6 damage to a minion, and for each point of excess damage dealt by this attack, remove 1 threat from the main scheme. So you play that, deal 6 damage to a minion as an attack. You take out the minion, you get a glory counter, and then the excess damage you remove threat. So I think that's a good card to include. And you got Relentless Assault. So Relentless Assault is a 2-cost event. It's a hero action. It's also an attack. So you get to deal 5 damage to a minion. If you pay for this card using a physical resource, this attack gains overkill. So all the excess damage from the attack is dealt to the villain. So you use martial prowess. There's your physical resource. You spend other resource. You play Relentless Assault. So you got your physical resource to get overkill, and you deal 5 damage to a minion. And then you get a glory count. And then there's Moment of Triumph. Moment of Triumph is just a hero response. It's not an attack or anything like that. It's a 0 cost. It's a 0 cost event. So after you attack and defeat an enemy, you get to heal damage for your hero for each point of excess damage dealt to the enemy by that attack. So if you worry about, oh, I got to heal, I got to flip over to Alter Ego, you can play that. You attack somebody, you play that. Give yourself at least a couple of health points to get back up. And then you got finally, for me, I'll put in 1 copy of Recuperation. It's a 2-cost event, so you can use Power of All of Us to play it to generate the 2 resources. And as an Alter Ego action, you get to heal your damage from your Alter Ego equal to your recovery. So if you're worried about, oh, I got to flip back to Alter Ego, and then I got to exhaust myself, so you can just play Recuperation. You don't have to worry about exhausting yourself. Just play Recuperation. You get to heal back up to your recovery, and you keep on doing what you're doing. So that's pretty much how I go about going my deck building. I go through the look at my hero, see what he can, what he can't do. So in this case, Doctor Strange, he can thwart. His defense is okay, but his attack is crap. That's why I include attack events to help out with that, along with high attack allies. Then you look at his traits. He's got Avenger traits, he's got Mystic traits, so you can utilize heroes that share those traits. To try to cheapen them up. That's what I like to do. I like to try to have an efficient deck that's cheap. You can play cheap. That's why I include Team Build Exercise and Power on All of Us, just to mitigate cost. I know some people don't like using Team Building Exercise or Power All of Us, but I don't mind them. At least you just include 1 copy. It's fine. Especially if you use Avengers Mansion. Team Building Exercise has an Avenger trait. Avengers Mansion costs 4 points. I don't use Avengers Mansion much because it's just you draw 1 card for 4, and 9 times out of 10 I don't play it. So I didn't include it in this deck. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it. So after you build your deck, you want to test it. And usually, what I do when I test it, I go against Rhino just to see how it works. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it for how I build Doctor Strange Aggression. Now, we all know that as the card pool evolves, the cards are going to change up. But as for now, current, I don't have Galaxy's Most Wanted yet because we still hasn't been released in Australia. But I'm pretty sure as soon as I get that, the deck will change up. But as for now, current up to Scarlet Witch, this is what my build looks like. I'll go ahead. I'll make other videos to include, justice, protection, and leadership. I'm not a big fan of leadership. I'm really not a big fan of protection. I like aggression and I like justice. But that's just me. I know some people they love leadership, but I don't like. I'm not a big fan of leadership. I think it's a boring aspect. Relying on just relying on others, or you get to beef up others. I don't like that. It's good multiplayer, but as a solo, I'm not a big fan of it. Protection is the same way, but as the car pools evolve, I mean protection's starting to get pretty good, especially with bait and switch. But I'll get to that later. Other than that, I mean that's the video. If you got any questions or anything like that, go ahead and pop in the comments. Other than that, thanks for all the new subscribers. Go ahead and like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications on new content, and yeah, don't forget to share and spread the word on this channel to help the community out. So other than that, take care. I'll see you guys later.